You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of truth. A dimension of freedom. A dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
All right, folks, where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Liebowitz, who also has his own show called The Rational Egoist, which you should all immediately be watching. I can't tell you enough how you need to be watching this. If current events don't tell you that you need to be clinging on to every life raft of reason that you could possibly find, then I'm telling you that you should be. What's going on in The Rational Egoist, Michael?
Great episode out with Sheldon Richman. I highly recommend everybody watch it. He's been involved in the liberty movement for, 50 years or so. Very knowledgeable guy, full of experiences. We just basically did a bio on him, his life, his experience. It was a great discussion. And coming up, I just got done interviewing Nikos, whatever the hell his last name is.
Nikos
Satirikopoulos, yeah. So he will, that'll be out maybe tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know, next few days. Great discussion with him. I've got some great discussions coming up. I'm going to be interviewing Kaya Willis. She'll be on the show. So we got a lot of good stuff coming on, but we got a lot of good stuff here too.
We certainly do. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this station. And don't forget to share it across social media platforms. And also, when we ask our question at the very end of the show, do not forget to answer that question on YouTube. I also have to say, our usual disclaimer, we are not affiliated with the American Capitalist Party, though we are ranking members of the board. What we are saying here are our own opinions with respect to the news and current events that are going on there, not the American Capitalist Party. If you want to look and see what the American Capitalist Party is all about, go to americancapitalistparty.org, check out the policies. I guarantee you're going to like it. We're going to be opening up a chapter in Georgia soon, and I reckon in the next few years, given the discontent that most people have with the two-party system, that we're going to be making some impacts across the states, hopefully within my lifetime. So that's my hope. I am in the Great White North right now in Toronto. It is, I went from 75 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in the sky, to 27 degrees outside. I'm a California boy, not used to the cold. Got to be honest with you. It sort of sucks.
Because
I'm going to go training later on. That means I got to walk down to the gym at 27 degrees, sweat my ass off, walk back to the hotel, sweaty and wet and weird. Wish me luck.
The folks, we also, we don't do this enough. And Persephone, I think, might just clunk our heads together like she's Mo. But we got to advertise for our Patreon, the Capitalist Corner Patreon, too, and the website. But all we do here, we get here and we're just so happy to hear ourselves talk. We never get around to talking about that stuff.
We forget to do all the plugs. Yes. So, guys, we have Q&As for on Patreon on the weekends that you can. Is it at the weekends? It's the weekend usually, yeah?
It's always the weekend.
Always the weekends where you can come and ask us questions. You have one-on-one discussions with us. It turns into a pretty interesting free-for-all.
Sometimes we argue. It's nice.
Sometimes we argue, but they're not used to that, seeing us on this show.
No, not at all.
And also, we have a great show on the weekends that we do every Saturday. We picked Saturday because I know I can do Saturdays, whether I'm traveling, to do the show, or at home. Saturdays I'm off, so I can always do it on Saturdays, and that is called Self-Made Soul. It is the intersection of psychology and philosophy. Last weekend I thought we had a very moving show. We talked about grief.
It was great.
We really got down into the heart of grieving and how to deal with grieving. I admit I cried a lot of times. I think a few people cried a lot of times, but it was cathartic. It was super good. And I think I know I left that session, Michael, feeling better and more capable of dealing with the grief that I have to deal with. And I hope I left and you left people with better tools to deal with the grief that they have to deal with. Next week, we're going to be talking about something else which we will be informing you about in the middle of the week. I don't know if Michael's already thought about the topic yet.
No, you know what, dude? Let me just tell you. So today I had the interview with Nikos at 11:30. Now this. Tonight I've got a debate with Jacob Winograd on his show. I'll be sharing the link to that, but we're going to be debating whether Tucker Carlson is a net positive or negative, and whether Pat Buchanan has been vindicated. So
is he taking the positive?
He is, yeah. This guy. Listen, Jacob. Let me just tell you, I argue with him frequently. We don't see eye to eye on much, but he's a super nice guy. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. But I have that tonight. Then I got this report to do. I opened it this morning. It's got 50 permits. I'm on 5 hours sleep. Things aren't going well today. I will get to coming up with a topic for us on Saturday.
Okay, good. Well, you never get any sleep anyway, so 5 hours.
No, last night was terrible, man. It was horrible. Yesterday I did legs. I get, what's that, restless leg syndrome? And yesterday I did legs, and my leg right now is killing me. But so in the days I do legs, it's just insane. We watched Beverly Hills Cop last night. Diana didn't really like it, which to me is sacrilege.
The first one.
Yes.
That is sacrilege, because that holds water even today. That's
a great movie.
Yeah, great.
But then I couldn't get to sleep. But anyways, here I am, and we're lollygagging. We got a lot to talk about. This whole Trump socialist thing, everything else that's going on.
Well, I was going to deal with the fact that the government may be opening now, since I was a victim of the government shutdown yesterday, because I was supposed to travel to Toronto today, this morning, Monday. But
I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of this approach.
Oh, you want to go with the Trump thing?
Well, I put it in the headline. That's what people are talking about in the chat. And you're like, no, I want to talk about this because it affected me.
Because I'm independent and I do what I want to do.
No, you're not independent. You're taking the victim stance.
Let me just say this real quick then. I was personally affected by the shutdown because I was supposed to today. I would have had an extra day with my cat, an extra day to relax, an extra day to write, an extra day to, pack.
But you wouldn't be here. But I wouldn't be here.
That's true. So this is a blessing in disguise. However, I did have to travel from 4 o'clock until midnight. Got here around 2 o'clock in the morning. So I, like you, didn't get much sleep.
First class? Did you fly first class? Just curious.
Okay, I flew first class, but first class from LA to Toronto is not what you'd expect first class to be. I'm just saying, it's not.
They didn't give you a foot massage?
There's no massage. It's not a pod. You can't lay down flat.
Poor
I'm
you.
6'3". I'm 6'3", 210. I'm a big dude, and still, it's not enough room for me. So you guys want to talk about the Reason article first, I assume. It seems like that seems to be the big hubbub. Is Trump a socialist? That is the big question. Of course, the conclusion of the article is that he is not a socialist. But there's some interesting comments here in the chat that's become private here that I wanted to read out loud. No, Trump is not a socialist. This is what Joseph says. Joseph Collard, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. He has no particular ideology. He's the ultimate pragmatist. I agree with this 100%. So if socialist policies appear to be politically expedient, he'll employ them, but he does act like one. I'd say he acts like an authoritarian for sure, and he will do whatever his authoritarian proclivities tend him to, and whether that's socialism in one respect or some version of what he considers a free market in another respect. He's basically feels like he rules by fiat, and he rules by sticking his finger in the air and seeing what his various constituencies that are oftentimes acting at odds with each other, want. And so that's why we see the pell-mell politics of him with the anti-capitalist notion of tariffs, the anti-capitalist notion of just starting trade wars, trying to build up a manufacturing base domestically here through protectionism. All of those are very uncapitalistic things to do. Also, the political moves that he makes, authoritarian political moves, sending federal troops into states unsolicited, the way in which he's attacking the immigration issue, the fact that he's still spending a great deal of money on social programs, and even has vowed to protect social welfare programs, puts him firmly in the camp of a guy who's a pragmatist statist and will do whatever he can to maintain power and reputation for himself. The American people don't matter so much. I mean, what do you say? We can get into the bones of the article.
Yeah, I think that I think that many of his policies are socialistic, but I don't think he is a socialist in the sense that he wants to, public seize the means of production and make everything public or government owned. But I do think he will employ socialistic measures if he thinks it's going to work. For instance, this $2,000 check he's promising. Now it's interesting because I was thinking about this $2,000.
Wait, this is to offset the tariffs, right?
Yes, so it's always one thing to offset the problem with the other. So now they're likely to print money in order to be able to give the money. So inflation, which I also sent you an article on. Now, when I was incarcerated, there were 2 sets of checks that went out. I can't remember exactly what they were for, but I think it came to like $3,500. Virtually every inmate took the money. I did not. And Brent McCall did not, and my friend Carlos did not. And the reason I didn't was, 1, I didn't think the government should be doing that, and 2, the money was supposed to be for people who were put out of work by lockdowns. That was not me. So I refused to accept the money. But I'm thinking if they send me this $2,000 check now, I'm going to be paying higher prices as a result of government policy. I'm going to be paying, not just higher prices from the tariffs, but then they're going to end up printing money and prices are going to go up. So I'm very conflicted about morally what the right thing to do in that situation is, to not take the money and just be screwed by the government policy, or take the money, which I don't believe they should be doing anyway. And it just creates conflicts like that. And government involvement in the economy and everything it does creates a lot of conflicts like that.
Yeah, indeed. It makes you at once an exploiter and the exploited. And you sort of get locked in that vicious circle where you, in a sense, have to take something back. For example, one of the examples people love to use against Rand when they're trying to impugn her character is that she went on Social Security. She took Social Security, but by the same token, she was robbed of those. She was robbed of that money for years and years and years and years. Yes. It was loot that the government took from her. Is she not supposed to be made whole again? Is she not supposed to? It's like somebody being ripped off and then being made whole through the process. So in my view, it's moral to take that money back because it was taken from you. Now, the fact that the government uses it as a direct consumption tax and that it is not, in fact, in your particular own bank account being saved up for your retirement, but is actually shoring up somebody else's retirement, it just puts us in the position of cannibalizing one another. It's a morally degrading position. And it even put Rand, I think, in a morally degrading position. I don't think she would find morally degrading because she understood it as, I'm taking what's mine. But that's the way.
She had to be convinced to take it, because initially she was opposed to it. Robert references her article on scholarships, which actually is influencing my thinking on this, because you're screwed, and if they're going to screw me, I have to offset the screwing somehow. It seems.
Yeah. So, but this is the degrading nature of when government gets involved in economics at every level and in a social welfare safety net. They create the kind of atmosphere that incentivizes a dog-eat-dog world. I mean, right. This is literally the dog-eat-dog world. You're taking from me, I'm going to take back. It's malevolent to its core. We know the solution to this kind of thing. It's just that people don't have the political will to do it. And the solution is to stop the social welfare net. There is no social obligation that people owe one another to support those who cannot support themselves unless that is a value they hold and choose to do so. The real obligation of a proper state is to protect the rights to your life and property so that you can realize your potential, that you are free to realize your potential or not. I guess, Michael, that the or not part is a little too dangerous for some people, and that's why they opt for these terrible systems that cause incredible amounts of distortion in the marketplace and create the kinds of corruptions and incentivize the kinds of corruptions that we see today. So, I mean, I want to read some of these comments here. Because,
have you ever had sciatic nerve pain?
Yeah, but you might not have that.
Well, I know I might not have it. I'm more interested in might I have it?
Well, because I'm saying an inflamed psoas can mimic the the sciatica issue.
Okay.
What the inflamed psoas could happen if you sit a lot. Your psoas shortens quite a bit and creates a lot of tension on your spine, and the inflamed psoas also causes pain that mimics the sciatica. What you need to do if you're sitting for a long time is get up and do a runner's stretch where you get on. It's like a lunge stretch where one knee is down, one knee is up, and you just stretch forward. Stretch that psoas out. Every 45 minutes, if you're sitting for a long time, you got to stretch the psoas out, because that's predominantly what pulls your pelvis in like this, crunches up your back, and causes a great deal of pain.
Yeah, when I was going through this in prison, subby's like, listen, what you need to do is lay down on your stomach and have your cellmate tug on your legs. I'm like, dude, where the hell do you think I am? Like, I'm going to tell my cellie, listen, I'm going to lay down. You come here and grab me by my legs.
Fuck with my spine. Fuck with my central nervous system, why don't you? Paralyze me. Menta says something really great here about Trump that I agree with. Trump's no socialist, but he's not a capitalist either. He's something else entirely, a pragmatic populist driven by narcissism rather than economic philosophy.
Yes.
It's also not about principles or a consistent worldview, but about whatever serves his ego, status, and immediate needs in the moment. This is a very good, I mean, we're psychologizing about Trump, but I think we're psychologizing accurately. This truly represents this guy. He goes on, he or she, I'm sorry if I'm misgendering.
Now that is Manu, right?
Menta? No, that's not Manu.
Then who is Menta?
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is Manu. Yeah, it's self-aggrandizement. It makes him particularly dangerous in terms of governance because there's no predictable framework, no limiting principles, just whatever reinforces his self-image and power in that moment. So true. And Michael, even though I tend to think that the presidents over the last few decades have been malignant narcissists at heart, never before have they been so openly malignantly narcissistic as this guy. So driven by image and so driven by his narcissistic framework that they are willing to do and say anything to defend that. And that indeed is a very, very, very dangerous situation well, hopefully we get some changes in Congress so that something legally can be done about this to save us from this kind of fiat governance, which I think is extremely dangerous. So did we resolve the Trump issue on a socialism? He's not a socialist.
He's not a socialist. He's a, Menta Minha is Manu. I knew it. Manu, give me the credit. Take the credit away from the guy with the mustache.
Robert says, with your Tucker Carlson comment, net positive, can't even imagine him as a partial, somewhat little bit positive. Agree there, but yet his following continues to grow, as does Candace Owens. Grifters extraordinaire and or crazy people seem to be monopolizing the internet, Michael, and the sane folks who are trying to put the country back on a course that we think will lead to the greatest human prosperity possible are marginalized. So, all right, we know that Trump isn't what he says he is. Now, Trump apparently, do you remember Trump when he was campaigning, talking about being the no war guy, that we weren't going to get involved in foreign wars at all? That appealed to, I'm sure, many libertarians, and some of those folks, maybe even like a Dave Smith, who's a principlist cunt, but maybe his pacifism, that appealed to his pacifism and to many of the pacifists in the libertarian movement. Oh, here's a guy who's going to take us out of the wars that are embroiled around the world. But it seems like, to be honest with you, he's picking fights with everybody. Okay, he's picking fights. He's labeled people who are taking a product that happens to be illegal in the United States to its destination as narco-terrorists and using military power to murder people on the high seas, essentially, without due process. He's threatening war with Venezuela over the possibility that Maduro is somehow in bed with these gangs. Now, that's not entirely impossible, but still,
they're not trying to invade the United States.
They're not trying to invade the United States. None of these people are committing acts of violence against the United States, unless you hold the modern principle that that you are not a moral agent, that people somehow control you, and that the drugs coming into the country is somehow an act of violence against you, as somebody's, nasty words are acts of violence against you. We're redefining violence in such a way as to define anyone we don't agree with as a terrorist so that we can justify being violent against them. So now we have a military buildup in the Caribbean against Venezuela. He promised us there would be no boots on the ground in Gaza, no American boots on the ground in Gaza, and yet this appears to be happening. There appears to be American boots in the ground over there, as this board of international idiots gets together in an attempt to govern this quasi-state, which has not been fully released from the clutches of Hamas yet. This is a pipe dream. That's not going to happen. At which he is the head. Now, Michael, I have a question. Is he still the head of this peace board after he leaves office? Is this a way for him to perpetually keep in the headlines?
I don't know what it is. I do know that here's the thing, right? So let's say people say, well, it's a good idea to have American soldiers over there, right? Now, suppose somebody from Syria, they hit our soldiers. Then the next thing is, well, they hit Americans. We have to do something about that. And then we're in another goddamn war. Like, I just don't like war. I mean, let me put it that way. I think war sometimes is necessary. I think that it's unfortunate, but I don't think we ought to be putting ourselves and I don't like to say putting ourselves, because it's not me. I don't like American soldiers being put in situations where they're going to end up in a war that is not our own against countries that have not attacked us. They're bad countries, granted, but we can't go to war with every bad country that's around the world.
So I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. And we do now have bases. I think they're consolidating it into a base in Syria, which, look, it's one thing, Michael, to have bases in these countries under the auspices of keeping the peace, which I think is a strange sort of diktat. But it's another thing to have them there and without the express intent of defeating the enemy. And that seems to be the course of war since World War II. There's never been the intent to defeat and demoralize the enemy to the point where the ideology that animates that enemy is no longer viable in the enemy's eyes, and they choose to go in a different direction. Precisely what we did to Germany and imperialistic Japan. We understood that we were fighting not only a physical war, but an ideological war. And if we're going to be in Syria, if we're going to be in Gaza, we have to make definitive statements about the ideologies on each side, how evil and corrupt they are. And you can't just pussyfoot around and maintain the peace. We know that these elements of these social systems that operate on vastly contradictory value systems cannot coexist in the same geographical area. It's impossible. One side either beats the other side by force or by a slow degrading of the confidence in their value system, as is happening here with collectivism. Collectivism has been winning a war of attrition against liberty and classical liberalism for 120 years, slowly degrading the Americans' confidence in what Americanism means, and has now been taking over the institutions from the inside. So unless you're going to make definitive stands against these types of ideologies with the direct intent of defeating them entirely so that they don't exist except as fringe movements in the world, it's a waste of fucking time. It's a waste of fucking time. It's a waste of human resources. It's a waste of material resources. What say you?
I agree. At the risk of having an argument, it does seem to me like you would be willing to use the military if we were going to do those things. I would not. I would not be willing to use the military to go changing cultures or eliminate bad guys around the world unless there was an imminent threat to the United States. And of course, if you place United States military personnel in the middle of this, then there's an imminent threat, because now they can hit the U.S. and then we say, oh, look, they attacked us. But I just think that it's a bad idea. I think war should be an absolute last resort when there's an actual threat against this country.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree war is a last resort. But I think that when you're in it, you just got to completely and decisively defeat the enemy. That's ugly.
Yeah.
That's
Of
ugly.
course, yeah.
It's a type of ugliness that the modern mentality isn't willing to tolerate right now, but it's the only way that you can defeat the bad guys. Evil wants to make it ugly. I mean, if you look at Gaza and the way in which they've used their citizens to demoralize the Israeli population and to popularize the death and martyrdom of their own people in order to get the international community against Israel. People simply don't have the stomach for what it takes to defeat an insidious and evil, despicable and anti-life ideology. They make it ugly, and you got to get ugly with it, or you are doomed. Wait, there's a couple of comments here that I wanted to read. Question of scholarships by Ayn Rand. Should the only people to pay for this and not receive some of their capital back be those who oppose it? That's self-sacrifice.
Yeah, that we addressed that a long time ago. That was from Robert Nasser.
Okay, we did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Maybe I wasn't.
Well, okay, it's okay, but I want to address that's funny. Christopher Smith says thermonuclear war makes isolationism a fantasy, in my opinion. Why would Peikoff say what he does about Iran? What do you think?
Me?
Yeah, I'll give my answer. If you don't want to, I'll just
no.
talk.
I certainly think I don't believe in isolationism in the sense that it's meant. I think we trade, not only trade in these massive weapons, make us rather mixed. You know, it shrinks the world down to neighborhoods. You know, with each other. And certainly the threat of thermonuclear war, and a guy like Putin, who has actually said outright that he will use these weapons against NATO should NATO become involved in the conflict between him and Ukraine, to me requires a preemptive strike against a man like that. A complete annihilation of his nuclear capability, a complete annihilation of his capacity to make war, and his dad-willing death. And an overturning of that government, and an occupation and reconstitution of the government so that it's a representative republic, even though the people might not be amenable to that kind of thing. The threats that he have made, I think, does require a preemptive strike against him, a hard preemptive strike, because now he's just abusing the goodwill and naivete and fear and moral vacillation of the West to take advantage of the Ukrainian people and to continue moving and making threats against Europe. To me, that's a guy that needs to be done. He needs to be done.
My book is in both physical and digital form, Holden. I think that we should get rid of Putin. I think that we should immediately make the United States a capitalist country. I think everybody around us should be capitalist. I don't think that we can actually do these things, though. And the problem is, you go to do this to Putin. This is the problem that I have with most of this saber rattling talk. It's one thing to say Putin's a bad guy, we don't want him to have nuclear weapons. It's another thing to actually do something about it. And if you have to ask yourself if the cost benefit assessment of this, you weigh the threat that Putin has against us. Yes, saber rattling, saying that that's saber rattling. When you're saying that we should go knock out Putin, we should take out Russia's entire nuclear system, get rid of Putin. That's saber rattling. I don't like what else could that possibly be?
The difference between me and Trump is I mean it, and
yeah,
I think
it's still saber rattling.
And I think it's entirely possible to do
Yeah,
it.
but the point I'm making here is that the consequences could be catastrophic against somebody that has not attacked the United States.
Yes.
Now,
Of
where?
course they have.
When?
Of course they have. What do you think? What do you think the Communist Party USA was? You have to understand that since the end of World War
Oh my
II,
fucking Christ!
hold on a second.
You're
Since
talking
the end-
about something that happened during the Soviet Union, Mark. So then we should have done it then.
Since the end, that's true, we should have. But since the end of World War II, there is such a thing called unconventional warfare, which China is waging against us, Iran wages against us, the Palestinian bots out there wage against us, and Russia wages against us.
And we are doing to them too, by the way.
As we should. We
Right.
should
So maybe then they should just bomb us because we're doing it to them. And that would be justified.
No, I'm saying.
But I'm American, so America's right.
We're not threatening to bomb them. They have threatened to bomb us. That's a different thing. And they are trying to undermine.
Who hasn't threatened?
Actively.
Hold on. Who hasn't threatened?
We haven't threatened to bomb. We haven't threatened to bomb the Russia.
Trump hasn't said if they try this, the catastrophic consequences and all that.
Do you consider that the same thing, Michael? If you say you're going to punch me in the face, and I say if you punch me in the face, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Is that the same thing?
Well, Putin didn't just say, "Hey, I'm going to wake up one day and nuke the U.S." He said, "If the U.S. gets involved in this battle, then I'm going to."
Europe, if all of NATO,
Yeah,
gets involved
then
in this battle,
he's willing to use nukes. Of course, Putin's a bad guy.
That requires
Okay,
a preemptive strike.
Okay, Mark. So then,
Requires a preemptive
okay,
strike.
so then it requires a preemptive strike. We're going to
It's
preemptive
one
strike China. Well,
It's
hold on.
one
Let's go
thing-
through your list, Mark.
It's one. Hold on. Let's deal with one thing at a time.
You
first.
hold on.
It's
You
one
can't
thing-
bring up 3 different countries and then tell
I
me
didn't-
to deal with one at a time.
Well, we will deal with one at a time. We can deal with all 3 countries, but we'll deal with one at a time. Well, it's one thing to say, if you continue this war, we're going to continue military action against you. We're going to aid this country in acquiring the
That's
weapons
not
that
what
will
Trump
enable
said.
that will enable them to fight you. It's another thing to say, if these countries get involved, I will use nuclear weapons, which, as far as I'm concerned, was not on the table. That is that is grounds for a preemptive.
So hold on. So
That is-
when you actually fund the country's enemies,
Also,
hold on. I got a question, Mark.
yeah, sure.
When you actually give aid in military weapons to a country's enemies,
To a relatively free state fighting an authoritarian state that is
Oh my
invaded,
God.
yes, they are morally superior.
okay, but then if this is going to be your standard of war, we're going to back every semi-free country that
No,
faces.
that's the Cold War stand. That's the Cold War
but
standard.
then what are we talking about?
Not necessarily my standard, but in the present circumstances that we have now,
Yeah.
I back them. I do back the free
Okay.
state versus the
All right.
authoritarian state
Okay. So
threatening and the
Mark.
entirety of Europe, including us.
Mark, this is just entirely divorced from reality. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, we have a country that you say is semi-free in Ukraine that's been attacked. Let's back them. We have a country that's semi-free in Israel that's been attacked. Let's back them. What about the Azerbaijan and the Armenians? I'm sure someone's semi-free over there. Let's back them. Then, of course, we have the enemies of our enemies in the Middle East that we've been backing. So let's back them. And then when any of those countries threaten us in return, let's wipe them off the planet.
First of all, I never said that we should back the enemies of our enemies.
But that's what we're doing.
Be ideologically misaligned with us.
But that's what we're doing.
It's not our ideological
Mark,
enemy.
okay.
Enemy of Russia.
Okay,
And
so who are we going to go to war with, Mark?
Ideological enemy of the United States, who happens to be the ideological enemy of Hamas. That
Mark,
is
I want from you a list of all the countries that you want to wipe off the face of the map. Give because you said we got to do it to Russia. You said China's been attacking
Because
us.
they have
You said Iran's been
us
attacking
with
us.
with nuclear war.
But you
Yes.
said China attacked us.
Here's. Oh, I said yes. They cyber attack us, of course.
Okay, but that's what you said Russia did to us. You said
they attack
unconventional
us from
warfare.
within. They take over institutions from within. Of course, they do these.
Okay,
things. That's
so by
modern-
your
that's
okay,
modern unconventional warfare.
okay, Mark. So then, by
So
your
that's a war.
definition, by what you're saying,
our responses to that.
Oh my God,
which was the standard for
Mark, this is so incoherent. It's incoherent, Mark.
It's not incoherent. Our responses to that are not warmongering. They are responses to aggression on the part of another country, and they are responses in kind.
Who initiated force in the Iran conflict? Curious. Was it us or was it Iran?
In the Iran conflict?
Yeah.
The recent Iran conflict?
No. You're going to bring up the entire history. So Iran did it. So when we interfered in their country to keep somebody in power that we wanted that they didn't.
That's not entirely the way that happened.
How did it happen, Mark?
What did the guy who quote unquote got elected into power do, Michael?
Who? What guy that got elected into power?
Modesta or whatever his name was, who deposed the Shah. What did he do?
They wanted to take back the oil that the Shah allowed us to have.
Not allowed us to have. We discovered it. It was our material.
We discovered it with the Shah's help.
Okay, so we owned it.
Okay, but Mark, you're missing the point anyways.
Nationalization mean?
Yeah. So
he stole it.
So when a country, so hold on. Mark, I can't, you got to let me talk. Are you going to let me talk?
Okay, go ahead.
Or not?
No.
No, because you're going to because I'm going to destroy this perspective because it makes no sense. You've said.
So tell me how it doesn't make sense when somebody steals your shit. You don't have a right to retaliate. Go ahead.
Oh my God, Bonnie, what's going on? I'm interrupting Mark. Go back to the beginning and see who interrupted whom. Play that back.
Hey, Bonnie, I've been interrupting Michael a lot.
Come on. This is ridiculous. I'm interrupting
him because I don't want him to win this debate.
Yeah, and it's been going on since the beginning, since I tried talking about. Mark made three claims.
I'll let you go.
Mark said that when we're attacked by another country, that warrants a military response. Mark said we've been attacked in unconventional warfare by Russia, China, and Iran. By Mark's logic, we need to go to war with Russia, China, and Iran. And what I'm saying is that is simply not feasible. It sounds good, and it's really nice when we're sitting in a studio talking on a podcast. But when you're the poor bastard who has to fly the plane to go bomb somebody and risk your life, that's a different story. It's just not practical. Period.
Okay, that still doesn't touch on the point. The point is Iran initiated violence against America. They have been in a state of war with us since 1979. They can claim that we interfered with their election.
We did
in the 50s.
We did.
They can claim that we did it for no reason whatsoever other than protection. Look, we were afraid clearly of Soviet intervention in Iran. We were afraid of Soviet expansionism in Iran, and that's precisely what was happening with that particular prime minister. In addition to stealing American property, which to me is a retaliatory offense.
Mark, when was America ever wrong? Answer me that. Has America, in your view, ever been wrong in any of these conflicts?
America has been wrong. America was wrong in the way in which it conducted the Cold War by aligning itself with tyrants who happened to be the enemy of the Soviet Union by myopically focusing on containment, which was the Truman policy. They were wrong. What we should have done is what Rand said we should have done. We should have let Hitler and Stalin fight it out until one of them was left standing, and then gone in and swept up who was ever left standing and annihilated them. Then we wouldn't have had this Cold War. We made another mistake during Korea when we told China that when we allowed China, we freed up the Mao's forces by putting the Seventh Fleet in the Taiwan Straits so that they could come in and invade Korea along with the North Koreans and push us all the way to the edge of the peninsula. At that time, MacArthur had done turning movements that had stretched the Chinese supply line so thin. He went to Truman and said, look, We can starve the Chinese army out, bomb their infrastructure into hell. There won't be any more Chi-Coms to worry about. They'll be done. We could roll back the North Koreans all the way to the very end and take the whole peninsula. What do you say? Truman said, you're fired. Okay, the Chinese communists would have been done at that time. It was wrong to free up the Maoist troops to do that, to protect them from Chiang Kai-shek going and invading, even though...
Who was going to take over, Mark? Assuming we did that.
Probably Chiang Kai-shek.
And he was a good guy?
No.
Okay. The thing is this, is that when you're dealing with war, right? And I'm not even like even close to a foreign policy expert. I know this. They lied about the Maine. They lied about the Lusitania. They lied about the Gulf of Tonkin. They either lied or were wrong about weapons of mass destruction. So I already don't trust the government's narrative. That's the first thing. We got involved in World War I when we shouldn't. That ultimately led to Versailles, which ultimately led to Germany. And I know there's other reasons and all that, but ultimately led to Hitler. So now we have to go to war with Hitler. Who do we side with? We have to side with Stalin.
Wait. World War II, the reason World War II ended in Hitler, World War I rather, ended in Hitler, was because Versailles was a ceasefire. Precisely the mistakes that we're making in the Middle East multiple times over the 70 plus years that Israel has been around is precisely the mistake that we made in Europe.
So they weren't tough enough?
Defeating the enemy. We just didn't completely defeat the enemy. There was an armistice. At which time,
what would you have them done, Mark? Millions were already dead.
Defeat the enemy. You must defeat the enemy. There's no other.
Yeah.
Alternative. If you're in the
I'm going to give you that advice
against the bad guy.
Hold on. When you're on a judo mat and somebody has you in a chokehold and you can't get out, I'm going to say, Mark, you must defeat the enemy. You must defeat the enemy because it's a good slogan.
The idea is that I have to defeat that person and submit.
But Mark, I get it.
Tap out.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I get it. It's a nice slogan, but in reality, you have millions dying.
World War II. Yes, unfortunately, this is the problem with authoritarian states that believe they can run pell-mell over every territory that they decide to run over, as Putin has decided he can do in the Crimea, as he's decided he can do in the Ukraine, as he's threatening to do to other Eastern and Central European countries. He's threatening these things.
No, Diego makes the point, and this is exactly my point. And I think he means to disagree with me. He says there's no way to have predicted what Germany would have done in World War II after World War I. This is precisely my point. When you're talking about regime change, you're talking about bombing, you're talking about killing, you don't know what the consequences are going to be. And if you're going to do it, it better be a smartly fought war, which we haven't done. We haven't been smart in fighting. We haven't been fighting smart wars. So you have to trust the government's going to do that, which they haven't.
Because we've been trying to sanitize.
Okay,
war.
I got it, but that's what they're doing. And secondly, it better be if you are attacked. Like if the country's bombed, if somebody's planning a military strike on us, I'm all for it. Let's go. But we're going to nuke Russia?
I never said about nuking Russia. I said taking out their nuclear capacity.
How do you think you're going to do that? What do you think, that you're going to start with conventional weapons?
Ukraine took out a third of their nuclear capacity with fucking drones, buddy.
Hold on. So you think that the United States is going to launch attacks on Russia?
No, I don't think they're going to do that.
No, I'm saying that you're hypothetical. They're going to have conventional weapons going, and Putin's going to what? Say, oh no? If he's going to do that, then he's no threat, and we don't need to bomb him. If we could do it that easily.
Here's the thing. We could have said the very same thing about Iran, which was Israel's going to launch an attack on them. America's going to follow through with an attack on them. What are the Iranians going to do? Go, oh no? In fact, when you take out their capacity to rule the skies, when you take out their capacity to use their missile and drone capabilities, you take out their capacity to use their electronic communications, you do give them one other option to say, oh no. That's exactly what happened in Iran, which was 2 weeks away from being completely overturned by Israel had Trump not gone in there and shut the fucking operation.
Just curious, does Iran have intercontinental ballistic missiles with, that are nuclear, with nuclear warheads?
They are certainly trying.
But do they have them now? You said that Israel was able to do to them. Does Iran have that capacity?
At this moment, no. And now it's been put back.
Does Russia have that capacity?
Russia has that capacity, as far as we know, and it also can be neutralized. It also can be neutralized.
I want you to show me the expert opinion out there that has this version of war that you're talking about.
Okay,
where Russia's just going to be neutralized.
Right now, Michael. Right now, they're fighting Ukraine. Okay, this vast country called Russia, which is supposed to be this massive, frightening army, is fighting Ukraine.
Yeah.
What are they doing now? But recruiting North Korean troops and also troops from Africa in order to supplement their fighting forces right now. They've been in a wartime economy for 6 years. What does that mean? All they are doing is producing shit that gets blown up and broken. They are recruiting from various countries right now to supplement their manpower forces because
that I'm confused. That I'm confused.
Nothing there. There's no there.
Then what are you afraid of? Why should we go to war with them if they're no threat? Then what's the point?
I think that their capacity to make war, they still are.
You just got done telling me they suck.
They do, but that doesn't mean they can't kill people in Kyiv, which they are doing.
Are they going to kill Americans?
Sure, certainly. If Americans are on the ground, or if Americans,
no. Are they capable? Hold on.
Paris for crying out loud?
Hold on. You either they're a threat or they're not. If they're a threat, then it's extremely dangerous to do what you're saying.
Listen, Michael. If somebody says, "I'm going to stab you in the face when you go outside," are they a threat to you?
If they have a knife, yeah.
They have a knife. And they say, I'm going to stab you when you get outside.
Yeah. What if they don't have a knife?
They have a nuclear weapon.
Hold on. What if they don't? But Mark, what if they don't have a knife and they say it?
Well, that's immaterial. It's irrelevant.
No, it's not. You're Mark
has the knife.
Yeah, but that's my whole point. If Putin has that kind of weaponry, then attacking him is going to be a seriously high risk.
Okay,
Americans.
You incapacitate his ability to use that weapon.
I didn't think of that.
Him. Yeah, I know you didn't.
I didn't consider that. Maybe if you had just said that at the beginning, we just need to incapacitate him. Oh, okay. Well, then let's just go do that.
That's what I did say.
No, but I think we should just do that then. Let's do that. Let's incapacitate Russia. There will be no consequences to that at all. Hold on. China's not going to do anything in response. North Korea is not. No, they don't care.
China will do nothing.
No one will
do nothing. Michael, when you show strength, they do nothing. China could have responded to Iran. Russia could have responded to Iran. They didn't. They read the reason because a show of actual strength and moral fortitude.
Oh my Lord,
Mark. Back down. I'm sorry, it does. They aren't strong like
they were half-ass bombings on Iran. They weren't they were not an all-out attack on Russia.
Still did not respond.
Hold on. Was there regime change in Iran? Was there any attempt at it?
There should have been.
There should be, there wasn't. You're saying there should be regime change in Russia.
There is a mullah hiding in the bunkers. That's what
Mark, you're talking about a regime change in Russia. You can't compare that to what we did in Iran. It's not the same thing.
Wait a minute. Deeper with Diego says, Mark seems a tad more ideological at the moment, and Mike is trying to tie them to existential actions. I don't understand what you're saying there, Michael.
I didn't say it. What do you mean, Michael?
I mean, sorry.
He's not Michael.
Deeper with Diego. I don't understand what you're saying there because my ideology is not a floating abstraction. It's not tied to existential circumstances or existential actions.
Mark, yell at him.
Russia has made these actions.
I'm the one that usually yells at the audience. You yell at him now.
Okay, I am doing that. Cyrus agrees with Mike. He agrees with both of us, it seems here. Both
Wishy-washy.
good points under specific context, but I think this conversation has a tad bit of talking past while the other person is trying to communicate. Kissed with a dash of emotions. Okay, so who's the other person trying to communicate, Diego?
Persephone.
Okay.
Can I show you something really, really nice?
Yes. Look at that. I mean, I can't fight anymore with that face. Guys, look at my angel.
I used the nuclear option.
You did. You knew. My heart suddenly just melted. It's like, did you ever see, what was it? Santa Claus. Is it Santa Claus is Coming to Town, where it has the Winter Wizard?
I'm not sure.
His heart melts, right? And then when people call him Mr. Wizard or something, he says, "Winter, please." He becomes all soft and gushy and nice. That picture, that's doing that.
What a great talk, Mark. Is that a painting or is that from a picture?
That's a picture.
That's a nice picture.
That I think is going to go right here. I love that picture so much. I'm going to put it right here on my arm.
Awesome.
Let's talk about something else, because there's an article from Jacobin that I actually wanted to almost go through paragraph by paragraph because it pissed me off.
Well, it's too late now. You took us off track with all that saber rattling.
Yeah, I love rattling sabers, but I like also drawing the saber and cutting.
Wait, you like rattling sabers? Is that prison slang?
It's don't go there. Mark Scenes at tab. Oh wait, Debrief Diego. I know when I typed that comment out how it would come off. That's why I included the word "tad." I did not mean to imply you were being rationalistic. I guess he's talking to me.
He is. He's pissed at you. You're pissing off the audience.
I'm pissing off.
No,
people with Diego.
Yeah, I pissed off Bonnie. So if I'm gonna piss off Bonnie, you can piss off Diego.
He's not pissed at me.
He is, man. This dude wants to get you on a mat. He's already said it. Let's get on the. What's that mat you get on? The jujitsu mat.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get on a mat with me.
You don't know that. You don't even know this guy.
Yeah, I do.
You've met him?
Yeah.
Liar. Now you just lied in front of the whole world.
Okay. All right. All right, David.
Look at how you should see Persephone. When I get like excited, you got to see how Persephone looks at me. It's really something to behold.
But I'm excited to roll with anybody who wants to roll. Diego, if I can learn from you, get on the mat with me and I'll learn from you. Okay, so there's this article from the Jacobin magazine, the worst magazine on the planet. I hate this fucking thing more than Trump. I hate it more than Putin. I hate it more than authoritarian assholes on both sides of the aisle, Michael. I hate this magazine. And you send me articles from it because I know it's important for me to know what the other side thinks. But there's so much hot air.
Hold on. What did you just say about the magazine?
I hate it.
No, you said something about the other side. What did you say? You read it?
I know you think it's important for me to know what the other side is thinking. So you give me this shite, this literal shite, this bag of hot air. In Vinnie Collins. Vinnie Collins. How can you be named Vinnie Collins and not be full of shit?
I don't even know how you can be named Vinnie Collins. When I think Vinnie, I think more of a Vinnie Caglione.
So Diego's has put the challenge through to me. Thank you, Diego. I appreciate it. When he was 9 years old, he got a yellow belt in jiu-jitsu. He's going to kick my ass.
At the next Irreplaceable Spark?
Oh yeah, well no, somebody did have a rolling session with me, but they have no jiu-jitsu experience.
Are you going to be there at the Irreplaceable Spark too?
Where is it? When is it?
It's in Texas. I thought that's what you were talking about. Okay, we get to the story because we got to wrap up.
Oh, but that would be fun. Maybe Diego can go to Texas and we can. There's tons of jiu-jitsu places around there. We'll have.
Aren't you going to be in Rhode Island soon?
No, I'm not going to Rhode Island. It was too close to Boston, so they were like, we don't want Pellegrino.
What? What do you mean too close to Boston? What the hell does that mean?
Well, it's too close to the Boston the con that I was at, so they're like, no, the demographic didn't work for them. It worked for me, it just didn't.
They didn't think about me, I guess?
No, they weren't thinking about you. They're not even thinking about me. Listen to this article, man. I want to tell you, Labor's climate fight requires public ownership. Already that should be making people chafe. Just the title itself, it should be chafy. Your mind should be blown. But I want to read this. I want to read this fallacious piece of shite article, paragraph by paragraph, not all the way through because it'll cause terminal illness in anybody who loves liberty. But he says, this is by Vinnie Collins, green politics won't succeed if they can't simultaneously speak to the question of affordability. Okay. And green affordability will require expanded public ownership. So, Michael, green politics, which means the enforcement of the forcing of quote unquote renewable energies upon the public, won't work unless it's completely taken over by the government, which they call public ownership. The reason it won't work, Michael, is because people are not choosing it. And so if they're not choosing it, they must have the choice made for them by quote unquote the people. A class-based climate politics that speaks to the affordability crisis faced by workers around the globe is a path forward for the climate movement. I don't even know what the fuck that sentence means. I mean, it's like it's a bromide on top of a cliche wrapped in bullshit. Literally, the affordability crisis is caused by the renewables themselves, because renewables are expensive, and the only way they compete against easier to attain fossil fuels, which are denser and have greater power, provide more for our needs, is to be subsidized by tax dollars. They are expensive otherwise, and they're expensive. It's just that the costs are now hidden if they are defrayed and diffused across the mass population. It's still expensive. You just don't know it because everybody's paying a price that they wouldn't ordinarily pay.
What's the word, Mark? Hold on. What's the word they use? Instead of saying seizing the means of production, what do they call it? The democratization of.
Yes, I think we're going to get to that in a minute. Zoran Mamdani's historic victory in New York's Democratic Party primary for mayor in June 2025 and victory in the general election on Tuesday has provided a dose of hope to the left, seeking a path forward amid a dire political landscape. Dire only in the fact that guys like Zoran are winning, and douchebags in New Jersey and Virginia are winning, and there's 200 fucking Democratic socialists in office around the country.
We're gonna get a swear jar.
Okay.
And every time you swear, you're gonna give me $1. I think that's a good way for me to make some extra cash.
Okay, good. Provided a dose of left of dire political landscape. His campaign succeeded by offering real solutions. Okay,
solutions.
Mamdani's offered real solutions to working class concerns, including on climate policy and its connection to New York's material conditions. Now, Michael, I didn't know that Mamdani offered real solutions.
Yes.
This is primacy of consciousness on crack. Because a guy says something will be the solution to a problem, it must be so. Mamdani is no different epistemologically than fucking. Excuse me.
Hold on. Would you repeat that? Go back and just repeat what you just said.
This is the primacy of consciousness epistemology on crack.
But because why? You said because what was your reasoning?
Because he says it so, it must be so.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure we could cement that into the vernacular here.
Okay. So it's in that sense he's no different than Trump. What did I do? What I missed some joke is going over my head.
No, it's an open panel because that's exactly what I just said to you 5 minutes ago about attacking Russia. Because just because you say it's going to happen doesn't mean it's gonna.
No, I don't think it will. I of course it's not going to happen. Whether it should or not.
We have a bear on a wise and says, is it an open panel? Yes, it is. You can talk away.
Talk away. So the climate crisis is heightening the cost of the living crisis. No, the climate crisis is not heightening the cost of living. The political response to the climate crisis is heightening the cost of living. What is the political response? To throw out fossil fuels and nuclear power and bring in inefficient forms of energy that are less scalable than the energy that we have now, which is cleaner forms of coal, cleaner burning natural gas, and nuclear power, which is far more scalable and would be far cheaper.
I have an idea. Hold on. Yeah. I have an idea. Why don't we use this article and do one of our weekend panels on it where we have the show? We'll do it for the Patreon so we can do the whole article and really give a nice dive into it.
Does this mean Can I? This is good. That's a good idea. But can I go in just a couple of paragraphs in here? Do you mind?
Well, you can. I mean, but we're at.
It's a
Huh?
longer. I'll just finish this paragraph then.
Okay. Well, I'll let you finish the paragraph. Okay.
Let me just finish this paragraph. As a political issue, climate has become less of a priority with voters, with the economy surpassing it in poll after poll since 2019. Now, part of this is because the argument has changed. People are beginning to realize that the hysteria over the climate crisis is not real. Alex Epstein, Michael Schellenberger, these are people who have contributed to the argument to help people see, and tons of people who broke, by the way, with the panel, with the environmental panel, climate change in the UN. Many physicists, scientists, and climatologists said, well, what they're saying politically is not what we're actually saying scientifically. And so people are getting hip to the fact that it's, one, bullshit, that it's really not the insane catastrophe that has been projected over and over again every 12-year cycle. And they're understanding that the political solutions are forcing them into a higher energy cost with lower input. So they're actually in a far more dangerous and precarious position economically because the energy is expensive, and materially because the energy is unreliable, and they often have blackouts in the times when they need energy most. When climate is changing and when the climate is affecting you, you need more energy, not less energy. You need reliable energy, not energy that will, has to be supplemented by reliable energy sources. But this does not mean that the people have stopped caring about the climate crisis. The pressing affordability crisis is front mind for most. The affordability crisis caused by the ineffectiveness of the political solution to the climate quote unquote problem. People need to believe and see the climate crisis not as an economic burden, which it is given the political solutions to it, but as an opportunity to make their lives more affordable. Yes, indeed. How? By opening us up to fossil fuel use, by legalizing nuclear power and allowing technology and innovation to proceed in nuclear energy, which will then give us greater sources of power and even cleaner sources of power if the mind is applied to that problem freely, as opposed to the way in which these people want to do it, which is subjected to democratic vote. Mamdani's campaign did this with laser focus on material improvements, working class people's daily lives through climate action via promises like fast and free public buses. Yes, he did promise those things. And I guarantee you folks, I will bet anybody in the chat right now $100 that none of what Mamdani promised, especially with respect to faster, free service on buses, is going to materialize. Let's bet anybody out there, any statist out there who thinks Mamdani's perspective with respect to how to cure what ails New York City is actually going to work, I'm going to bet you money, and I'm going to win. Anyway, we will read the rest of this article. I think that's a great idea for our Patreon folks, right? We can talk about, really do a deep dive into every sentence, because every sentence needs to be picked apart and refuted in this article. And I think, folks, you should join in on this with us. And we can have a massive discussion on this. And
how do they do it? How do they join in with us? Let's get Persephone up here.
Persephone,
how do they join in? Tell them what to do.
Hello, welcome. Tell the folks how they can join in on this amazing discussion that we are going to have about this very article in the Jacobin.
Go to the Capitalist Corner Patreon. On Patreon, just search the Capitalist Corner. Or we'll share a link on Twitter.
And tell them where to go, too, for the website that Mark and I don't remember.
Yes, there is also an amazing website at thecapitalistcorner.org.
Yes, thank you, guys. Yes, go there. And when will we have it, Michael? After we do the philosophy, intersection of philosophy and...
that's going to be up to Persephone when she wants to do it.
Okay, so yeah, we have that every Saturday at 9 a.m. and that usually goes for an hour. I think last time it went very long, but we stranded Michael. I think
they did. They went sick on me.
We went 2 hours on that, but we won't have to go that long. We can keep it to an hour and 15 minutes, and then after that we can have a line by line breakdown of this article. I think it would be really interesting for people to hear the perspective, the contrasting perspectives of the Jacobin and the capitalists.
All right,
so
when are we gonna do it? Persephone, you gotta. We'll let them know. We'll let them know
later.
Let's announce it later.
She's dumbfounded. She doesn't know. She's
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna remove Persephone. She's been looking at me for too long, and she can't. She's totally breathless and speechless. All right, Mark, you got to do the capitalist thought of the day.
What are we? Oh,
we're 5 minutes over.
We are.
Oh my Lord.
Okay. Well, folks, yes, I hate to repeat myself, but capitalism is not just a system wherein the means of production are owned privately. Is a system that respects individual rights, which means that rights are your freedom of action to use and dispose of your property as you see fit. Rights are a freedom from force from other people. So ideally, the capitalist society is one in which the initiation of force is banned from society, and you can only win people over to your side by trading with them or persuading them in the political realm, trading with them in the material realm for mutual benefit. It is a win-win world that we want to produce for people. That doesn't mean all outcomes are going to be the same. That doesn't mean it's going to be a utopia in the sense that the socialists like to pretend. It means there's going to be plenty of problems, because so long as there is free will, people will be free to either realize their potential or not. But you will be free to realize your potential in a way you are not in a statist society today. So we want to advance these ideas through the American Capitalist Party. Go to americancapitalistparty.org to check that out. Also visit us on Capitalist Corner at the site that Persephone just told you. And we'll discuss this article on the weekend. So we can really get into the meat of it and really have a great philosophical conversation about the poor ethics that animate this article, and the presumptions that are behind this article that are erroneous, and and we'll put that out there in the world too. Michael, do you have a question that you want people to answer?
I do, for the audience. And remember to go to YouTube to answer this question, please, in the comment section. Would you prefer America to have a more aggressive foreign policy, a more restrained foreign policy, or leave the foreign policy as it is? And please do not put ZZ in the chat.
Okay.
That's my question.
All right, folks. So tomorrow, Michael will be here. I will be working on the show, but Michael will be here, and of course, he will do amazing things. You're gonna enjoy the show tons at the usual time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time. You've got a day to check your premises. So you got a day to think about many of the things Michael and I said, because often when we argue, I think we're both right. I'm talking past him. He's trying to talk to me, but I'm talking past him because I don't want him to defeat me in the debate. So I'm just trying to run past him as fast as I can. But I think we're both right in a lot of ways, and there's something to take from both sides, and you can grow from that. All right. So use that today. Use that today to check your premises, to see if they're in alignment with rational egoism, individual rights, and a country that should be free. And then we'll get back to you tomorrow, and we'll see you. Until that time, peace.
They got 8 extra minutes today. Peace.